Yo, how is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Down podcast, where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. NFL.com gave the Bears a B+ draft grade, the MMQB gave them a B-, and Roto World gave them a C. Today, we are all here to give you guys our grades for each individual 2020 Bears draft pick and grade Ryan Pace's 5th draft as a GM. I'm your host, Chris Malpe, and today I am joined with my co-hosts, Parth and Jaylon McClinton. How's it going, guys?
Decent. What's up, boys?
Pretty good.
It's going pretty good. You know, a 60-degree day out here in Illinois today. I'm not sure if that compares to Arizona, Jaylen, but it's looking pretty nice around here.
Definitely not. It is 75.
And I'm sure you're not complaining too much about that. But let's get right into this. I want to start off by saying it's pretty tough to grade a draft when you don't have a realistic depiction of how the players actually pan out for anywhere between 1 to 3 years from now. So maybe this is something we could come back to down the road. I will say we're going to be doing our post-draft NFL predictions for the Bears, how their schedule is going to pan out again soon. We have a lot of good content coming this week, a very special guest coming this weekend, so stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe and like the video if you would like more content. And also, you can check us out on all platforms. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. So let's get right into it. Our first pick came in the second round. Cole Kmet, tight end from Notre Dame. He's 6'5", 250 pounds. Parth, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll head to Jaylen and back to me. What would you grade Kmet, and what did you think about that pick?
I'm gonna give the Cole Kmet pick an A-. Actually, there's a lot of Bears fans on Twitter I've been seeing who weren't as happy about the Cole Kmet pick, and there's a lot of Bears fans who are very happy about the Cole Kmet pick. I'd say I'm ecstatic about Cole Kmet. You know, hometown boy playing for your team that you grew up loving. It's just a dream come true for him, and it's just a dream come true for Bears fans. We finally got a tight end that could bring us back like Greg Olsen days. I'm sure Cole Kmet said his favorite player was Greg Olsen growing up, so that's kind of interesting as well. If this works out, this could be a tight end that the Bears can have for multiple years and hopefully do some great things for the Bears. So I'm going to give it an A- for now.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna give it an A too. When Chris spoiled the pick for me when we were live streaming, at first I was kind of nervous because I'm like, please don't take a quarterback. Please don't take a running back or something because, Pace is very unpredictable. So when he told me it was Cole Kmet, that was a sign of relief. So I knew at first I didn't want to take a tight end. I wanted to take Grant Delpit because he was on the board. But tight end was a need. A lot of Bears fans saying, wow, you have 10 tight ends on the roster. But just because of quantity, means it's quality. Most of the receivers most of those tight ends were just camp bodies or going to eventually get cut. So I'm glad we took Cole Kmet. He's a tight end out of Notre Dame. I'm a huge Notre Dame fan. I got to watch him this season. And, Notre Dame produces a lot of great tight ends. And Kyle Rudolph, Tyler Eifert from Cincinnati. So this should definitely be a good pick for Mitchell or Nick Foles, whoever starts at quarterback. This is definitely going to be a great weapon.
Yeah, the Notre Dame coach Brian Kelly actually tweeted it out a couple of days ago. I don't remember the exact number, but it was a certain number of years that Notre Dame's starting tight end after their senior season had been drafted. So obviously a team that produces really good tight ends. Parth mentioned it earlier. He's a hometown kid from Arlington Heights / Lake Barrington, Illinois. The stars really aligned on this one. I mean, during his sophomore and junior years of college, Kmet had 60 receptions, 691 yards, and 6 touchdowns, and a majority of that work came in 2019. He was a baseball player. He focused primarily on baseball during his sophomore and freshman years of college at Notre Dame, so he played 2 sports. And that's the good thing. He's pretty raw. He showed that he could produce enough in 2 years, basically to say that he's the best tight end in this draft, and I think the sky's the limit for Kmet. So I'm going to give this one I'm going to give it a B. Let's head into round 2 again. Pick 50 overall. I'm going to hand this one back to Jaylen. Speaking of Jaylen, with the 50th pick, the Bears chose Jaylon Johnson, a cornerback out of Utah. Jaylon McClinton, what would you grade that pick?
I'm going to give it an A+. A lot of people had him projected to go in the first round, but we got him at 50. This is a tight end, not a tight end. This is a corner that is going to come in and probably be the starter alongside Kyle Fuller. The only reason he probably fell to 50 is because shoulder injuries, but he only missed one game in the years he was starting at Utah. This is definitely a good pick on our side. I'm glad we actually, picked a starting quarterback. We don't know what to expect out of Kevin Tolliver or Troy Roberson. So Pace bringing in 2 starters in the second round to me is a great haul in the second.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one. I mean, you basically hit it right on the head when we said we don't know what to expect out of Kevin Tolliver. I mean, we've seen him play, don't get me wrong, but I don't think we've had enough playing time to make a concrete depiction of what he can do. Artie Burns is another interesting one that's here, and we don't know what he's going to bring to camp. Trey Roberson is kind of the oddball out here. He could be another interesting one. But as far as Johnson goes, I mean, he's really a dog. He played throughout the entire 2019 season with a torn labrum. I said it, he's a dog, and he brings a great mentality and spark to this defense. Reminds me kind of Akeem Hicks with that powerful image and message that he brings with him on the field that really motivates this defense. 36 tackles, 2 interceptions, 11 passes defended in 2019. He doesn't give up on any plays. I really think he can blossom alongside Kyle Fuller. I'm going to give that Jaylon Johnson pick at 50 in A because I think he was really someone who should have been picked in the first round. Damon Arnetti, AJ Terrell, Noah, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, from Auburn, all picked in the first round. I think Jaylon Johnson could have gone there. I also think Kristen Fulton, who ended up with the Titans, could have gone there. So I think it's a great pick that we got him in the second round, especially at pick 50. So I'm going to give the Jaylon Johnson pick a grade of an A. Parth, what do you grade Jaylon Johnson?
I'm also give it an A. Like, you guys hit it. You guys just talked about everything I was gonna say. Like, he's a first round talent that the Bears were able to pick up in the second round. Can't be mad with that. He was definitely what's it called? I think Mel Kiper had him as the 3rd best corner. So we got him at, I think it was the 5th or 6th corner we took in the draft. So, I mean, we definitely got great value for Jaylon Johnson. I think he'll do great things for us. I mean, he was pretty ticked off about being drafted late. I'm pretty sure he's got a chip on his shoulder, and I think he's ready to produce for the Bears.
Yes, sir. I think he really is going to blossom, and I think we could see him in the Pro Bowl in a couple of years as long as he could stay healthy. I'm really excited to see what kind of replacement he can be for Prince Amukamara, assuming that he's going to start. Do we all agree that he's probably going to start over Kevin Tolliver and Artie Burns?
I'm going to say I don't think he's going to get a start right away. I think he's going to get a start maybe
maybe a quarter of the season. We do have an early bye week this year. I think it's like week 4 or 5, so that's good, just as far as changing things up goes. Jaylen, what do you think? You think he'll start?
I'm going to say no, not right away. I'm going to give it to Kevin Tolliver. You guys know how big of a Kevin Tolliver fan I am. Hopefully he gets to start and doesn't give it back. But I could definitely see him being a starter. We drafted him early for a reason. He's not going to come here and be a special teams guy. He's going to potentially start later down the road. So I could see him being a starter.
I absolutely agree with you guys on that one. I mean, he's not going to come in to be a special teams guy. We'll see if Kevin Tolliver holds up. He's an undrafted free agent for a reason out of LSU. But let's get into the next pick. The Bears obviously traded up with the Minnesota Vikings to get into the 5th round. They traded a future 4th to get pick 155 overall, where they ended up selecting Trevis Gipson, edge from Tulsa. I'm going to give my grade on this one first. He was a really productive player in college. He had 95 tackles and 12 sacks throughout the last 2 seasons combined. He played his 5th year as he didn't decide to be a grad transfer. He did his graduate school at Tulsa and ended up playing another year there. Throughout his last 2 years, he's forced 7 fumbles and also has had a whopping 24 tackles for a loss. Overall, I think he has great upside. He's going to be a rotational piece right away, I believe. The Bears are playing him at outside linebacker. He'll be able to improve behind Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn. He'll be able to work alongside Danny Trevathan and Roquan Smith. I think it's a great pick overall. That being said, I think he does maybe need to get a little bit more meat on the bones. Needs to stir up a little bit. Reminds me a little bit of Leonard Floyd, which worries me a bit. But I'm going to give this one a B+. Parth, what do you give the Trevis Gipson pick?
I'm actually give it an A+. This is my favorite pick in the draft by the Bears by far. Like, you hit it with the tackles for loss, the forced fumbles. He's done everything, and he was in a 4-3 defense in college with Tulsa. That's what I saw on Twitter, I'm pretty sure. So coming into the Bears, he's going to be at a 3-4. He's going to play his natural outside linebacker position, where he's also going to be a rotational piece, and he's going to learn from a great pass rusher in Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn. I think he's just going to get better. He's going to be a great pick for the future, and I think it's going to work out for the Bears later down the road.
So I'm gonna give this a B. When we traded up for him, I'm like, who is this? But after I looked up who he was and saw some of his tape, he was actually compared to Roy Robinson Harris. Roy Robinson Harris, which is kind of funny to me because we found him in UDFA. But this is definitely going to be a great depth piece. He's not going to come in and start. He's going to learn behind this great front seven that we have. Mac. Robert Quinn. He's probably going to learn some stuff from Akeem, even though he's more of a defensive tackle. But this is definitely going to be a great depth piece. I see a lot of potential in him. And Pace. This is probably Pace's guy. We traded a future fourth to trade up in the fifth, especially with a division rival. So this shows that he definitely want to trade up and get Trevis Gipson.
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, the Bears actually kept their 5th round pick. They didn't trade their 5th round pick this year in order to move up to get Trevis Gipson, so they stayed at pick 163 overall and ended up selecting Kendall Vildor, a cornerback from Georgia Southern. This is something that I feel like we see every year from Ryan Pace. He kind of takes his small school guy, like an Adam Shaheen type player. As far as Vildor goes, he's got great ball instincts and is really good in man coverage. He comes in at a bit small, measured at like 5'9", 5'10", but he online he's 5'11", but that's always a little bit off. But he can play both from the slot and outside. A lot of Bears fans have mentioned him possibly shifting over to strong safety to provide some competition there with Deion Bush and Jordan Lucas. But he had 69 tackles throughout the last 2 seasons and 2 interceptions in 2019. My only worry is that, I'm not going to lie, I hadn't really heard of Georgia Southern before this pick. I'm a little bit worried about the competition he's had. But watching the tape, he's pretty good. I'm going to grade it a C+. Jaylen, what do you grade Kendall Vildor at pick 163 overall?
I'm gonna give it a C too. I could definitely see him moving to safety to provide more competition. He's not really fast, but he's short and he brings great coverage skills. He was the 2nd highest graded cornerback at the SBS level, but his play significantly dropped off in 2019 due to injury. So I don't know how this pick can come out. He was playing at a lower conference in Georgia Southern, not really a big school, but he definitely had a couple good games against like Clemson and stuff. I see him lock down T. Higgins, who was a early 2nd round pick. So I'm gonna give it a C. I'm not gonna expect much from him, and if he doesn't play good, I'm not gonna be surprised. But if he does, I'm definitely gonna be happy with the pick.
Yeah, you have to think that Vildor is going to be a good piece on special teams, but I like that you mentioned T. Higgins there because if you look at some of the schools Georgia Southern plays, you really see T. Higgins stepping up against some good competition, there within the SEC, playing against guys like Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, Alabama, schools like those throughout the years. So he has shown that he can step up against big competition. I think he probably has a shot at the slot spot down the road when Buster Screen is gone and someone like Duke Shelley's going to fill in. He can provide competition at multiple positions, which is also something I like. A very versatile player. Parth, what would you grade Kendall Vildor?
I'm going to give it a C+. I had us taking Kendall Vildor in one of the mock drafts I made with you guys. I think it was mock draft 2.0. And I had us taking him with my 226 pick, so I think we took him a little earlier, right?
Yeah, but that being said, there were a ton of players that fell in this draft. I mean, just if you look at it, like KJ Hill was in the 7th round, Geno Stone was in the 7th round, Donovan Peoples-Jones ended the 6th round. So
Vildor was definitely moving up GM's draft boards. I was talking to a bunch of Vikings fans, and they actually wanted Vildor with one of their picks. So getting him definitely ticked them off. And also, he might be short, but he's hard hitting. He's got the size. He's got big arms. That's what I'm trying to say. I definitely could see him moving to safety, like Jaylen said, to provide some competition with Deion Bush. But this is a great pickup at the end of the day. Just another camp body and a guy that can compete with other guys for the cornerback 3 or 4 position, if that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And I think Ryan Pace in his press conference with a bunch of rookies said that he can be a great special teamer at the end of the day as well. So just a solid pickup.
Let's take a little bit of an intermission here because we got some breaking news pertaining to Chicago sports, not the Bears. I want to know your guys' reaction, though. I don't know how big of Blackhawks fans you guys are, but Blackhawks chairman Rocky Wirtz has just announced that the team has fired John McDonough, the president and CEO of the organization. My goodness.
Hire Arturis, save the Blackhawks.
Yeah, no kidding. The United Center is really getting a turnaround. But let's get back into the draft coverage. That was kind of crazy. The Blackhawks are looking to turn it around now. But back into our Bears. They obviously traded back once again into round 5 for pick 173 overall. They chose Darnell Mooney, wide receiver from Tulane. Similar to Vildor, he comes in at a bit small. He's listed as 5'10", and he definitely needs to bulk up and gain a little bit of weight, maybe 10 to 15 pounds before the season comes. But the speed is obviously there. He ran a 4.38 40-yard dash. He can make a ton of stuff happen in the open field. He said in his interview with Lauren Screeden, when you give me the ball, I'm going to make something happen regardless. Jaylen said it a couple days ago, but it looks like on his tape that he's playing against high schoolers. Or that might have been Zach that said that, I don't remember, but someone did say that. And I think Mooney could end up being Matt Nagy's Tyreek Hill in Chicago because nobody is sure what's next for Tariq Cohen. All of us have said in the past that he's probably gone. Mooney had 48 receptions each of the last 2 seasons, 713 yards in 2019, almost 1,000 yards in 2018, 14.9 yards per catch in 2019, over 20 yards per catch on 48 catches in 2018. 13 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons. A great late find. He'll be a great replacement for Taylor Gabriel. Believe it or not, I actually think Mooney will be the wide receiver 3 to start the season. Call that a hot take. I don't care. I'm grading that pick an A freaking plus. Parth, what do you think?
I'm going to give it a B. I love this pickup, too. I mean, he's fast. He's everything the Bears need to replace Taylor Gabriel. And he's a great route runner, too. I saw that in his tape. I was watching some of his tape, and he runs every single route possible. He's got all the route trees down. I don't know about becoming wide receiver 3 just off the bat, but I definitely see him getting up there. Him and Riley Ridley and Javon Wims could definitely compete it out for wide receiver 3. But for now, I'm going to give him a wide receiver 5 spot.
This was my favorite pick of the whole entire draft.
I agree with you on that one.
When we traded up from, I wanted James Prochet from SMU. But we took Darnell Mooney. I'm like, who is this? Looked him up. Dude ran a 4.38 blazing speed. He's 5'10". I wouldn't compare him to Tyreek Hill, but this is like a Tyreek Hill type of player. He's a little taller than Taylor Gabriel. But, he played at Tulane the last time. Well, yeah, the last time the Bears took a player from Tulane, it was Matt Forte.
Oh, yeah.
One of the best running backs in Bears history other than Walter Payton. And so, drafting Tulane players has done as well, in recent history. So I can definitely see him being the wide receiver 3 spot. I'm a big fan of Javon Wims and Riley Ridley, but they're not speed players, and he's gonna come into this wide receiver room and be the second fastest receiver on this team other than Cordero. So this is probably my favorite pick. I'm gonna give it an A plus. Hopefully he can come into this team, and give us production in his rookie season, being a 5th round pick.
Something good to mention there as well as far as 5th round pick wide receivers that the Bears have chosen. This one doesn't relate to Ryan Pace at all, but the last 5th round pick wide receiver that the Bears chose that ran under a 4.4 40-yard dash was Johnny Knox. He had a 4.38. Someone that we all miss, was one of my favorite players growing up, and I'm sure we would love to see Darnell Mooney, Cash Mooney, replicate what Knox was able to do in Chicago before he went down. But prayers to Johnny Knox. Glad he's doing well now. Glad he's healthy. Let's head into the 7th round. Pick 226. We obviously had 2 picks in a row here. Arlington Hambright. Sounds like Arlington Heights? Not exactly. Offensive tackle from Colorado. He's a grad transfer from Oklahoma State. Blocked for Steven Montez last year. He's definitely a developmental piece, but he's very athletic. He can play both guard or tackle. Ryan Pace has already announced that he's going to be there competing at the guard position with Jermaine Ifedi and Rashad Coward. He's a good fit in either position with what the Bears want to do. He provides pretty decent value. I think he needs to improve technique, like his hand placement and his play strength a little bit. But I actually liked this pick as far as the offensive lineman that we chose in the 7th round. I'm going to go with a B-. Parth, what do you think for Arlington Heights Hambright?
I'm going to give it a C. I'm just giving it a C. I think the Bears didn't address the offensive line as much as I thought they would have in the draft. And we just got 2 guys back-to-back in the 7th round to sprinkle offensive linemen into the depth chart. But I don't know much about him, so I can't knock him off for that. So I'm just going to say a C for now.
All right, Jaylen, what do you think?
Same. I'm gonna give it a C. This is a seventh round draft pick. Late in the draft, you can't really expect much out of him. So I'm gonna give it a C. Don't know much about him. He's gonna come in here and give competition to Jermaine and Rashad, so push them to be better. I'm gonna just give it a C. Like I said, I don't know what to expect out of this player. If he does good, great. If he does bad, well, he's just another seventh round draft pick that busted out. So I'm gonna give it a C.
Absolutely. I mean, I think when you look at offensive linemen that the Bears have gotten late in past years, you look at Charles Leno, who was picked in the 7th round, I believe. The Bears have had some success with late-round picks. Personally, I actually like the 2 undrafted free agents offensive linemen that they got, Badara Traore from LSU and Dieter Easelin from Yale. Dieter Easelin had a former NFL Hall of Famer as his offensive line coach at Yale. I forget exactly who it was. And then Badara Traore started on the offensive line at LSU blocking for Joe Burrow. So I hope some of those later guys, including the undrafted free agents, maybe can make an impact there on that offensive line more surprisingly than we think. Heading into the last pick, round 7, 227, we had 2 picks in a row, as Parth said earlier, sprinkling around with offensive linemen, I guess. The Bears picked Lachavious Simmons. This is a really interesting one. Offensive tackle from Tennessee State. This guy is a stone-walled offensive lineman. It's basically that easy to describe him. He's really good in the pass block. He brings a ton of power and great body strength. He has decent athleticism, but is really just a big brute that's joining the Bears' offensive line. He needs to improve a bit on his agility in space. He has great footing. Tennessee State allowed the second least sacks in the FBS in 2019. And Simmons led that. So I'm going to give Pig a grade of a C. Parth, what do you think?
I'm also giving it a grade of C. Again, I don't know much about him, but you said he's a Stonewall offensive lineman. And I think the Bears are moving him to guard. So he's going to compete with a guard. And I think the guard, he has a good chance to actually start during the season because the guard.
Depending on how he said he plays out, yeah.
And it's looking kind of thin for the Bears right now, the guard position. So you never know. But yeah, Hambright could be a solid addition to the Bears for the future as well.
Yeah, Jaylen, what do you think about Pick Simmons?
I'm also giving it a C. I love his name, Lachavious Simmons. That's a great name. I don't know much about him. Not really anybody knows much about him. When people were looking for pictures of him to post, it was literally only one picture, and that was his photo for his profile picture, I guess, for college. So I said, I don't know much about him. He's big, he's huge. He's from Selma, Alabama. So I don't know what to expect. Like I said, this is for competition, probably a depth piece that if he can develop into something, that would be amazing. But I'm gonna give it a C, just based off not knowing much about Pick Simmons.
Those 7th round picks are definitely oddballs, and we'll see how that ends up playing out. But it is now time to grade the overall Bears draft. I think we can all agree when we all had pretty high grades on Cole Kmet. I had the lowest grade with a B. We all gave Jaylon Johnson A's. I think the lowest grade on Trevis Gipson was a B. Kendall Vildor was an oddball. We'll see how that one turns out. We all gave good grades to Darnell Mooney. The lowest he received was a B or B+. And then the 2 offensive linemen at the end are a little bit of an oddball. I think the Bears have signed some decent undrafted free agents, brought in some running backs in case Tariq Cohen is gone in a couple of years. And by a couple of years, I mean a year, because that's most likely going to happen unless he can step it up in 2020. Grab some offensive linemen. Ahmad Wagner, someone I like as an undrafted free agent. I think when you grade the draft, you have to bring everything into account. But my overall draft grade for Ryan Pace's 5th year as the general manager of the Bears is going to be a B. Parth, what would you grade his 2020 NFL draft?
I tweeted this out a couple of days, and I give it also a B. I think he did a decent job. He picked up He picked up all the needs if you look at it at the end of the day. There was nothing flashy, I guess, that a lot of us could have expected. He didn't make an unexpected pick, which is, I think, a plus for the Bears at the end of the day.
I think we all saw Cole Kmet coming in the back of our heads just a little bit. And I mean, he's definitely the best tight end in the draft. I hope he can pan out. But it is, I said it earlier, it's going to be hard to grade these drafts for a couple of years. So maybe we could come back and do this and look back on this draft class in a year. But Jaylen, what would your overall draft grade for Ryan Pace's 2020 NFL draft be?
I'm gonna also give it a B.
B's all around.
Yeah, in this draft, I saw him potentially take 3 starters, in Kmet, Jaylon Johnson, and Darnell Mooney. In this draft is also a lot of developmental pieces in Trevis Gipson, Kendall Vildor, and the 2 7th-round offensive linemen. So I'm gonna give it a B here. I see 3 starters, and if those 3 starters turn out to give us great production in this season, that would be amazing. Especially because we didn't have a 1st-round pick, so a lot of great needs, we filled up a lot of needs for not having 1st-round pick and only having 7 picks in this draft with all the trading up he did. So this is actually a pretty solid draft from Brian Pace, definitely.
You heard it from all of us. B's all around. That's pretty much going to do it for this episode of Bear Down. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Football is finally back, temporarily. I think this draft provided a glimpse of hope for all of us that we will hopefully be able to see the Bears play and on time and in the stadium later this fall. So I'm looking forward to that. But if you would like more content from us, please go check out beardown.com. We're going to post individual draft grades with a little bit more of analysis on each player over there on the site. You can find the link to all of our fan pages in the description. You can also follow our editors who do a ton of work behind the scenes on mixtapes, uncut, and these podcasts, obviously. Get them out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and where you're listening, which is probably on YouTube. So they do a ton of work as well. You can follow the podcast on Instagram and Twitter at Bear Down. Any last words, Parth and Jaylen?
Stay safe. I think the quarantine is getting extended here in Illinois, which sucks, but it's for the best, hopefully.
Like I said, stay safe. I came down with a little cold, so I'm trying my best to stay in the house. I'm trying my best to stay in the house in quarantine in 100-degree weather in Phoenix right now. So make sure you're washing your hands. Don't just think for yourself, think for others as well. And bear down. It's going to be a great summer for Bears and Bulls fans, definitely.
Yeah, and Blackhawks fans now. It's seeming like the United Center may be a very different scene when we end up going back, whenever that may be. Today is Monday the 27th when we're recording this, and the only upside I can say about this quarantine, there's actually 2 things. Number one, it's looking like it's going to peak around mid-May. Obviously, that's just based off projections, so hopefully we can be out June 1. The summer's looking like it's going to be a lot different. Things like Lollapalooza and stuff are probably going to be canceled. We don't know when we're going to be able to go see Major League Baseball again. But this Friday, May 1st, I'll be able to golf again. Illinois is opening all public golf ranges, so I'll be able to go and do that. There's at least something to do there. Thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, Chicago, stay safe and bear down. Peace.